As we close out Black History Month, I want to talk directly to minority business owners, men and women, who are building something bigger than themselves. Starting a business takes courage. Keeping it alive takes discipline. Growing it takes structure. This is especially true for startups. When funding is limited and every dollar matters, when the focus is survival, when your priorities are to get open, stay compliant, and keep expenses down. And that makes sense. Every business owner wants lower rates. No one wants to overpay for insurance. But here's the quiet risk. Too many minority-owned businesses confuse affordable coverage with adequate protection. They purchase the minimum just to satisfy a requirement. They tiptoe into protection instead of building a real foundation. Not because they are careless, but because no one fully explained what serious business protection looks like. And in today's atmosphere, where conversations around DEI are shifting, contracts are tightening, and history itself feels like it's being rewritten, ownership matters more than ever. In order to control the narrative, we as business owners have to control our risks. And if you stay with me until the end, I'll explain the one coverage minority startups skip most often, why it gets overlooked, and how that single gap can quietly limit contracts, credibility, and long-term growth. So, let's get started. Today, I'm walking you through 5 core insurance coverages for every business, but with a focus on minority-owned business, whether led by men or women, and what they should understand. This applies if you're a startup or a side business, a storefront or service provider, a contractor, consultant, creative, a home-based entrepreneur. This isn't about politics. It's about protection. Because economic independence requires structural stability, you must start with the foundation, which is coverage number 1. General liability insurance. This coverage protects your business. If someone is injured at your location, you damage someone else's property, or you're accused of personal or advertising injury. Here's what many startups don't realize. General liability is not just protection, it's credibility. Remember this, most leases, corporate contracts, vendor events, and city projects require proof of coverage. The common standard is $1 million per occurrence and $2 million aggregate. Now, keep in mind, minimum limits might get you started. Proper limits get you taken seriously. Too many times I see business owners seem somewhat disappointed that I recommend carrying higher limits. Then they come back to me later, requiring higher liability limits to meet a business requirement. So let's just start on the right foot by going ahead and establishing solid coverage. Now let's talk about what happens when income stops, which leads us to coverage number 2, business property and business interruption. Business property insurance protects your physical assets, your building, equipment, inventory, furniture. But here is what too many business owners overlook. Business interruption insurance protects your income. If operations are forced to pause due to a covered loss, your rent does not pause, your payroll does not pause, your financial obligations does not pause. This coverage keeps cash flow alive when your doors are temporarily closed. For minority-owned businesses that may not have access to large capital reserves, this coverage can be more than optional. It can be strategic. Now let's talk about employee responsibility, provided by coverage number 3, workers' compensation. If you have employees, even part-time, workers' compensation is often required by law. It covers medical expenses, lost wages, rehabilitation costs, and most importantly, it also protects you by limiting lawsuits from injured employees. This is why compliance matters, especially in an environment where scrutiny is higher and margins are tighter. Serious businesses operate above board. Now let's move into professional risk. This is where coverage number 4 comes in play. Professional liability, also known as errors and omissions, E&O for short. If you provide advice, expertise, or services, general liability does not cover mistakes tied to your work. Professional liability, or E&O, covers claims alleging negligence, oversight, failure to deliver services as promised. This is one of the most commonly skipped coverages among startups. Why? Because the risk feels invisible, until a client dispute turns into a legal demand. Legal defense alone can cost tens of thousands of dollars, even if you did nothing wrong. This coverage protects your reputation and your financial stability. And finally, let's talk about the fastest growing risk, and that's coverage number 5. Cyber liability insurance. If you collect emails, process payments, store customer data, or operate online, you have cyber exposure. Cyber liability insurance helps cover data breach notification costs, legal expenses, data restoration, and lastly, reputation repair. Now, hackers often target small and minority-owned businesses because they assume security is weaker. Cyber liability, along with professional liability, are the most frequently skipped coverages because the risk doesn't feel physical, but the financial damage is very real. Let me show you both sides of this. I worked with a minority-owned service business that was growing steadily. Revenue was strong, clients were loyal, momentum was real. They pursued a larger corporate contract and were confident they would win it. But when the insurance requirements came in, their coverage limits and their lack of professional liability didn't meet the contract standard. Not because they weren't capable, not because they weren't qualified, but because their protection didn't match their ambition. That opportunity was delayed. Now here's the positive side. After that experience, we restructured their entire protection plan. We increased their general liability limits. We added professional liability. We included cyber coverage because they handle sensitive client information. About 8 months later, another opportunity came up. Similar size, similar requirements. This time there was no scrambling, no emergency endorsements, no uncomfortable conversations. They submitted their certificate of insurance the same day, and they won the contract. Not only that, the decision makers viewed them as organized, credible, and prepared. Insurance didn't just protect them, it positioned them. That's the difference between reacting and being ready. Now, please allow me to provide some practical guidance. Here's what I recommend. Don't purchase insurance just to have insurance for your business. Ask yourself, is this a business or a hobby? Next, make sure to check any compliance concerns. Number 3, make sure your limits reflect where you're headed, not just where you are today. Number 4, treat insurance as infrastructure, not overhead. This is where business owners start cutting corners to save on costs. So avoid this mindset trap. And lastly, review your current coverage and confirm it aligns with your growth goals. If we want ownership to last beyond one generation, the foundation has to be solid. As we look at the overall view, Black History Month reminds us of the power of ownership. But ownership without protection is fragile. Minority businesses, men and women alike, deserve more than survival. They deserve stability. They deserve scalability. They deserve longevity. Insurance is not about fear, it's about control. And in an environment where policies shift and narratives change, protecting what you build is how you protect your legacy. Now, if this content was helpful, put a thumbs up in the comment section. I welcome any feedback on this topic, and let me know about any other topics you want me to cover. Your suggestions will help others that may be thinking the same thing. With that being said, help me get to 1,000 subscribers. Then, share the content with someone who may benefit from this topic and other topics in my library. This really helps my channel grow. But don't stop here. Check out my next video on your left for more insurance and financial tips. And as I like to say, call Jay today.